Imagine risking your life in brutal combat, only to be paid in something you currently keep on your kitchen table. The Legion bled for white crystals. At the end of every brutal month, soldiers lined up. They did not demand chests of heavy, gleaming gold. They accepted simple bags of rough, crystalline white seasoning. Today, you purchase this mundane mineral for mere pennies. But salt was once supreme money. The modern office salary originates directly from the Latin salarium. The world's most lethal ancient military force was literally paid in salt money. Deep inland, this vital biological resource was incredibly scarce. It was perfectly divisible and instantly recognizable by everyone. Next, we must uncover how this strict thermodynamic scarcity transformed a basic mineral into an unyielding imperial currency. To understand why salt was money, you have to understand the fragility of the human body. Human biology demands absolute chemical compliance. Our bodies constantly lose essential sodium chloride through daily sweat. Without rapid replenishment, the human cellular structure completely breaks down. Massive ancient armies and their war horses experienced identical biological vulnerability. The ancient elite quickly realized that whoever controls this essential mineral controls life itself. By monopolizing a fundamental biological necessity, early empires engineered the ultimate form of inescapable macroeconomic compliance. Nature created a brutal geographic bottleneck. The ocean contained infinite supply, but inland logistics were horrific. Transporting heavy, moisture-absorbing crystals across vast continents required immense energy. Deep within the interior, this common mineral became terrifyingly scarce. This extreme spatial disparity allowed rulers to easily choke off the vital supply routes entirely. When geography naturally restricts a life-saving asset, the state inevitably steps in to completely monopolize distribution. And the Roman Empire mastered this monopoly. The Romans engineered an imperial monopoly. They built the Via Salaria specifically to transport extracted salt. Heavy wooden carts carried the precious cargo from the distant coast. The state meticulously guarded these ancient highways with overwhelming force. By seizing the extraction ponds, Kark the Senate successfully transformed natural evaporation into sovereign imperial wealth. They understood that whoever governs the evaporation of seawater essentially commands the entire Mediterranean economy. Eastern dynasties perfected the invisible tax. Imperial China faced constant, crippling costs from endless border wars. Levying direct agricultural taxes frequently sparked massive, violent peasant rebellions. The Han Dynasty desperately required a silent mechanism for massive extraction. They forcefully seized total control over all regional salt production and distribution across the empire. By embedding a massive premium directly into a survival necessity, the state silently confiscated generational wealth. The profit margins were mathematically staggering, and producing the mineral cost very little physical or thermodynamic energy. Laborers simply channeled seawater into shallow pools and waited patiently. The blazing sun performed the arduous metallurgical refinement completely free. However, the imperial government sold this cheaply produced crystal at dozens of times its intrinsic cost. This forced macroeconomic arbitrage became the hidden financial capital that funded absolutely massive global expansions. Look at the Great Wall of China. It wasn't just built with stone, it was built with salt. Salt literally built the Great Wall. Defending the northern frontier required unprecedented physical and human resources. The sheer tonnage of stone and mortar demanded endless capital. The invisible salt tax quietly financed this colossal architectural undertaking. Every peasant who seasoned their daily rice unknowingly purchased another heavy stone for the imperial barricade. The greatest physical monument to human defense was bankrolled entirely by the deliberate manipulation of sodium. Smuggling became a terrifying capital offense. The artificial markup created an extremely lucrative black market instantly. Desperate citizens attempted to boil their own brine in secret. Imperial guards ruthlessly hunted down and executed unauthorized salt producers. Protecting the monopoly required a massive, brutal apparatus of state surveillance and unyielding military enforcement. When the price of survival is artificially inflated, the state must deploy extreme violence to maintain control. The ledger concealed the true theft. Ancient bureaucrats meticulously recorded every single grain of harvested salt. They tracked the distribution across vast, tightly controlled administrative zones. This rigid bookkeeping ensured maximum revenue extraction from the working populace. The monopoly transformed a natural, abundant chemical compound into an incredibly oppressive mechanism of financial control. This hidden extraction perfectly illustrates how centralized authorities continuously exploit basic physical needs to sustain empires. This invisible tax was the ultimate geopolitical weapon. The monopoly fueled endless military campaigns. Legions required massive logistical support to conquer neighboring barbarian territories. War requires continuous funding that agriculture alone simply cannot provide. The salt revenue acted as an invisible, inexhaustible imperial treasury. By taxing biological survival, the emperors successfully unlocked an unlimited budget for aggressive geopolitical dominance. The expansion of the ancient world was directly correlated to the state's ability to restrict sodium. Monopolies always breed deep systemic fragility. The entire imperial budget eventually relied entirely upon this tax. If regional warlords captured the salt pans, the capital starved. The state became dangerously over-leveraged on a single natural resource. The centralization of such a vital asset created terrifying vulnerabilities that could instantly paralyze the superpower. An empire that anchors its primary revenue to forced monopolization fundamentally hollows out its own core. And who paid the ultimate price? The same people who always do. The working class bore the burden. Everyday laborers traded their physical energy for increasingly expensive sustenance. The hidden tax silently consumed the purchasing power of their wages. They could not boycott the product without facing certain biological death. This inelastic demand allowed the ruling elite to endlessly squeeze the poorest demographics without facing immediate revolt. Using biological inelasticity as a taxation mechanism remains the most effective and insidious strategy of statecraft. Salt was the original fiat currency. Its high market value was entirely sustained by state legislation. Without the strict imperial monopoly, the market price would collapse. The state artificially constrained the supply to simulate physical hardness. We are witnessing the ancient blueprint for how governments successfully manufacture perceived value from abundant materials. This manufactured scarcity perfectly mirrors the dangerous elasticity of modern central banks commanding global paper economies. What happens when the state's primary money fails? The silver denarius ultimately collapsed. Corrupt Roman emperors faced mounting insurmountable imperial war debts entirely. They desperately diluted the once pure metallic currency with cheap copper. The official money printer aggressively flooded the market with lies. As the physical integrity of the coinage vanished, catastrophic macroeconomic inflation exploded instantly. When the state secretly debases its primary currency, it permanently destroys the foundational trust of civilization. Salt became the ultimate sanctuary, while the imperial silver rapidly lost its true purchasing power. the white crystals retained their absolute, uncompromising physical market value. An emperor could easily strike 1 million fake bronze coins. But no ruler could simply conjure pure crystallized sodium out of thin air. The grueling physical labor of mining and evaporation provided an unforgeable thermodynamic proof of actual work. The legions demanded hard assets. In times of severe macroeconomic chaos and rampant imperial inflation, soldiers vehemently refused to accept wagon loads of heavily debased coins. They explicitly demanded their monthly wages be paid in salt. This mineral guaranteed survival and successfully preserved their stored economic energy entirely intact. An ounce of verified physical salt could easily purchase the absolute loyalty of a brutal army. When paper and metal lie, physics tells the truth. The empire survived on seasoning, when the sophisticated metallurgical currency of Rome utterly failed them. The entire military apparatus reverted to a primitive, biological standard. The unforgeable scarcity of this extracted resource prevented total collapse. Grueling physical extraction successfully bypassed the corrupt political manipulation of the failing mint. The physical properties of a raw mineral defeated the combined economic deception of the Roman Senate. Hard money requires undeniable effort. Paper and debased metals expand infinitely at zero thermodynamic cost. The true anchor of wealth must possess a fundamental limit. Now, ancient soldiers intuitively understood this unbreakable law of material economics. When the state betrays ledgers, citizens inevitably flee toward unforgeable physical thermodynamic scarcity. The survival of the empire rested not upon its shiny coins, but upon its evaporated seawater. The salary was absolute truth. Wagon loads of highly diluted bronze coins could not purchase loyalty. The state's artificial liquidity proved utterly useless on the battlefield. But a singular heavy sack of salt delivered unyielding power. This vital mineral represented the ultimate sovereign wealth protection during extreme macroeconomic collapse. We see that true economic stability always returns to the undeniable energetic cost of physical matter. But technology is the enemy of artificial scarcity. Salt eventually lost its monetary premium. Under the Industrial Revolution introduced massive, mechanized geological drilling technology. Humanity shattered the absolute physical scarcity of the mineral. Enormous subterranean salt domes were suddenly breached and aggressively mined. When the supply became practically infinite, the asset completely reverted to pure utility. Technological advancement aggressively destroyed the thermodynamic barrier that once protected this fundamental ancient currency from hyperinflation. Our modern fiat money is bleeding. Central banks relentlessly operate like the desperate, failing Roman emperors. They endlessly print weightless paper money to fund astronomical debts. This engineered system fundamentally completely lacks any real physical scarcity. Today's fiat currency bleeds its purchasing power exactly like the corrupted ancient denarius. We are currently experiencing the devastating macroeconomic consequences of trusting an asset with zero extraction cost. You cannot cheat physics, and you cannot print your way out of debt. You cannot print out of debt. The absolute laws of physics mercilessly punish artificial financial elasticity. Expanding the money supply only steals time from the populace. Ancient Rome fell exactly when their corrupted silver officially failed. We must heed this ancient warning before our modern global financial architecture collapses. Any civilization that attempts to bypass the unyielding thermodynamic cost of money will fundamentally destroy itself. Technology inevitably destroys all weak scarcity. Salt collapsed as money when machines fundamentally broke its limit. Fiat paper collapses because bureaucrats can infinitely replicate its supply. You cannot permanently store your life energy in abundant materials. During this era of infinite printing, must find an unyielding thermodynamic anchor. The survival of your generation's wealth entirely depends upon identifying the ultimate, modern, true hard asset. What will be the salt of the 21st century? What is the true hard asset? Is it the heavy, cosmic metallurgical perfection of physical gold? Is it the unforgeable, decentralized, cryptographic, mathematical scarcity of Bitcoin? Or is the ultimate store of value simply raw energy? Comment below on what hard asset will survive this modern macroeconomic fiat storm. Please subscribe to Hard Assets History as we continue decoding the physical materials that dictate empires.